Hi guys, welcome back to the Artificer channel. Today I'm really excited to show you a brand new kit release from Vespid Models. This is the Centurion tank Mk5/1. This is the Royal Australian Armoured Corp version from Vietnam, which I'm very excited about. And I did go a little bit extra, I went for the Deluxe edition. This is because it features a 3D printed canvas gun mantlet, which is very cool. So without a further ado, let's have a look and see what we've got. Now straight away what strikes you is the absolutely gorgeous box art on the front of this kit. It's really nice. The box is a matte finish, and on the side you have examples of the different decals that you can use for the Centurion. You can see there, Deluxe edition, so I'm very excited. There you go, that gives you an idea of what's inside. So you get metal parts, you get a metal gun barrel, some nice decals, and that 3D printed gun canvas mantlet, which is very cool. And again, you got more examples of what the tank looks like. So let's open up and see what we've got inside. That is one packed box, that's for sure. So again, you've got that nice box art on the front of the instruction manual, and it is a very nice booklet in a page design, so as you can see you can flick through. You can see there is the first page with a part count and example of what you'll be getting in the box. Now as you can see, there is a lot of detail in those suspension springs for the running gears and also for the sprocket and the idler wheel. And it looks like you have a very simple assembly of the tracks, which even have a little bit of wave to them, so it shows a bit of gravity and weight. There's a lot of detail in this kit, and there's a lot of PE parts, as you can see. And what I like about these instructions as you go through them, they make it very clear what type of PE parts you'd be using. As you can see here, you've got different versions of the front of the tank that you can use. Pretty complex periscope and hatch system right there. So it gives you the option to have it open or shut, as you can see here. Again, there's loads of different options you can choose from. There's different variations. You've got the A9 there, and you've got A5, A8. And also again, the PE parts are clearly labelled so you know exactly where they go, and they give you a zoomed in version of them. Again, you can see here with the front of the tank, again, same thing. And then you've got these storage bins, and again they give you the option to cut off the little plastic that you can replace with PE parts, or you can leave them in, it really doesn't matter. And again, the photo etch is very clearly labelled so you can see exactly where it goes in context with the rest of the model. I love the detail on this model. Again, very small PE parts, as you can see. Very tiny, very minute. So something to definitely be aware of when you're assembling this model. Now, something interesting I've not seen before, they've given you steel tow cables, wires of steel strand, and they have these absolutely tiny little clasps that hold the steel cable together. As you can see there, PE18. It is a very complicated bend to achieve. Now here you have the two versions of the turret. You have the factory version, which has the gun mantlet that can swivel clearly up and down, as you can see, or you can choose the 3D printed mantlet canvas cover, but you must cut away the front of the turret, which is marked in red here. Moving on, we have a nice hatch assembly. Again, a lot of PE parts, but they are very clearly labelled and zoomed in, as you can see. There's a lot of detail on this. More options to cut off factory parts and replace them with PE. Now, the storage bin assembly looks very easy to do. For the assembly of the smoke grenade launchers, it's a very complicated setup, so you have to take your time. Even the jerry cans are very carefully detailed. You know, you have choices here. You could do PE if you really feel adventurous, or you could just stick to the factory parts. It's really up to you. And I like that about Vespid. They give you so much. I mean, look at this bin, for example, that holds ammunition and a radio. That is a lot of detail, and you have to build and construct that. At the same time, you have the gun, you have the choice between the metal barrel and the plastic. And I noticed that there is a single piece that you can actually slide right into the middle of the gun. You've got a very complicated basket, as it were, at the back of the tank, as well as photo etch that attaches to it. And then you have this assembly of the light, which is very complex but looks very detailed. Definitely a challenge, this model. This is not for a beginner by any means. So if you do feel adventurous, the Vespid is definitely the type of company that you want to get hold of. Really nice detailed isometric drawings to show exactly what the tank looks like, and you even get some examples of shells for the tank, and there's quite a few of these in the kit, and you'll see that later on. And then finally you have the paint options for decals as well. So you have one from sort of 1969. And there's another one here from 1971. There you go, 1968. And here you've got some nice historical decal markings as well as paint schemes to use. Overall, the presentation of Vespid's instruction manual I think is absolutely ace. They do a really nice job of taking you through things step by step. And as you can see with the paint scheme at the end here, as well as the decal scheme, gives you a clear indication of what the model will look like with all of that detail, as you can see. Very impressive, and there are other vehicles available, as you can see on the back. So let's have a look and see what we've got. And there's quite a few parts in this. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You've got a whole piece, you've got the 3D printed part, you've got the turret, and some clear parts there for the light. So we're going to get rid of the doubled sprues because they are exactly identical, so there's really no point going through each one. And from what I can see, there's no flash. So let's have a look at the first sprue, and these are the tracks. And as I mentioned before, there is a little bit of gravity imitation in the way that they sag slightly, and they are also rounded, but as you can see, there's some really nice detail in the individual links, which is really good to see. There's some very complicated dips and divots in there, and that just goes to show how detailed this kit really is. Very nice. In this next sprue we have the wheels, the idler wheels, and also the sprocket and the transmission. And look at these springs, they look amazing. These are the suspension springs. They almost look like they've been wrapped around the model. That is some pretty amazing molding right there. So as I mentioned, here are the solid molded tank shells they provide. So these could be a mixture of AP, APCR, HE, or even smoke shells as well. So there's different variations. It's quite nice to see that. I think all tank models should have this type of thing. And then as you can see here with these idler wheels, lots of detail. It's incredible. You can see so much detail even in the sprocket. Look at that, there's tiny little holes in the wheels. It's just amazing. This kit is just full of so much detail. You would almost think this is 1/35 scale. These jerry cans are very unusual as well, because of course this was in the Vietnamese jungle, so water is an essential, so that was a cool sprue. And then with this sprue you have the factory parts for the gun mantlet, as you can see there, really nice detail. Also the turret hatches, as well as the transmission. The gun and the 30 cal, if you can see there, it is actually slide molded. So there's a tiny little hole there in the 30 cal. So that's a really impressive technique that they've used here. So this is a slightly more complex sprue. Various different parts of the lights there, as you can see. Also some smaller things like a radio, some ammunition bins, as well as some storage bins. 2 spare wheels at the front, and also has 2 different versions of mudguards at the front of the tank. So you can take your pick, which is quite nice, see there. And a very detailed light, which actually has a pretty solid build as well as detailed interior, which you could probably paint silver, which would be quite nice. The thing I'm most concerned with is this basket that you'll have to create, which looks very thin and very fiddly. As you can see, some parts can break very easily if you don't handle it with care. Moving on to the last sprue. This is the top half of the tank. The mudguards that run along the tracks. You've got some interesting detailing and a lot of recesses in there, as well as some great detail on the top of the driver's side of the tank. Some spare tracks there, as well as some winches, etc. Very, very clean molds, very impressive. And these are the exhausts. As you'll see, I'll turn it around. The exhausts have a little bit of slide molding as well, you can see there. Really nice detail. They're not completely flat, so they have actually modeled the interior. Now, of course, we have the turret, the most important part of the tank. and it is, again, just like the rest of the model, incredibly detailed. It's a really nice solid piece, looks very good. And here's the hull of the tank, a really nice detailed piece, V-shaped hull, lots of nice detail on the bottom as well as on the side there. And of course we come onto the 3D printed canvas gun mantlet. As you can see here, it is a really nice quality, quite spongy in terms of material, which is nice. But again, this is solid, you can't move the turret up and down. But as you'll see, you have to remove, as I mentioned, the front of the turret off completely in order to make this fit. So that's something to consider and think about. Possibly saw it or sand it down with a power sander. And then finally we have some clear parts, and this is just the glass for the light. Then we move on to the photo etch, the towing cables and the metal gun barrel, including the decals. So let's have a look at these and see what's inside. Straight away you can see the photo etch is incredibly detailed. You have all of the lattice work for the storage bin, and you can see where there's a slight coloration because it's a very thin layer. This can be very delicate, so be careful. But there's a lot of PE there, which is beautifully detailed. Moving on, we have these amazing steel tow cables, and they look great for the scale. Their imitation looks amazing. And the gun barrel, which is metal. That's a really well machined metal gun barrel. And then finally we have the decals, which are very clear, they're good quality. I don't see much bleeding. They got some neat little Mickey Mouse depictions. Very nice, very neat. Guys, this is a kit that you definitely want to get hold of for your Vietnam collection. It's very unusual. It's nice to see a Centurion, especially with the Australian Army. I reckon it will be a good build. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you go out and get one soon, because they are going like hotcakes. Well, thanks for watching guys, see you next time.